Hi, hello, and welcome to yet another Expat. This is episode 94. How are you doing? How is this summery time treating you? The sun, the flowers, the green? Does it have any effect on you? Do you feel the warm hug? Have you been out to smell the flowers? Well, in any case, thanks for joining. This is a podcast where I share weekly some news, some thoughts from what's happening in the world and my life. My name is Ermis. I'm recording this from a corner of Berlin with my not so Greek accent and with a couple of things I want to bring to you. Let's start with this thought. When is the last time you went to the zoo? The zoos are a complicated situation for everyone, right? It's nice to be there in a sense. You get to see exotic animals. It's very bizarre. At the same time, you also feel so guilty and weird. It's not normal to have a polar bear sitting next to you with 30 degrees in a artificial environment, and 20 steps further down you see a camel. And way back in the day, it used to be a way to educate about the world, to see the wonders of life and animals away from your little corner. But now we have the internet, we have so many ways, and that's why zoos had to change their narrative. Now, if you notice what zoos have been doing in their communication, in their, it's not greenwashing, but it's some sort of washing. It's how they wash their dirty hands for moving animals around. They say it's all about nature conservation. So this is the big story. They tell you that by visiting a zoo and contributing there, you help the zoo, and the zoo itself is helping the preservation of the species. They're funding projects in their home countries where the animals are coming from. They make sure that they exchange scientific information with other places and all of that. And it's kind of a convincing story, but then it makes you think if the zoo is saying, you know what, we know that this is not the best way to do things. We shouldn't have all these animals here kept in captivity. But look, by having them here, you are enabling their place of origin and you're contributing to their actual natural habitats. But then that means that let's imagine the lions or any other animal. You have the real ones that are out there in the wild that get to live life and they get to explore the real world. But then that comes at a price because their areas need to be protected. They need to be monitored by doctors every now and then, and this conservation effort takes a lot of money. Who pays for that money? The lions that have chosen the trapped life of an influencer, because this is what the animals are in the zoo. They're basically a trapped influencer that's engaging with the audience to raise money in order to be able to feed the family back home. So the ones in the zoos are doing God's work. They are putting their face out there. They are enduring this life in prison, this world of spectacle, the kids, the cheers, the people, and they are doing influencing job. They are doing good PR for their species, contributing in the funding and preservation of the real animals back home where they were abducted from before they came to the zoo. So this was the thought I had. So thank you, zoos, for helping for the conservation of animals. Could you do this without having to capture some of them and put them in cages and then have people pay around to go and just see them live miserable lives? Couldn't you just help the animals in their original countries from the start? But this is who we are as a species. We say to the rhinos, oh, you can't fucking nature anymore, rhinos. Here, we need to save you. It's only three of you left. Let's gather you here. Here, rhinos, fucking this cage we built for you while everyone is watching. You can do this, white rhino. And just a small fun fact. It's not a fun fact at all. Just a sad fact. Here's a small sad fact about the white rhino. The northern white rhino subspecies is functionally extinct because they only have two rhinos left. However, Both of them are females. They're living their life in Kenya's Olpejeta Conservancy, one of these places they make sure the animals stay alive. But the survival of the species now relies on IVF for rhinos and advanced reproduction techniques. I don't want to know what an advanced reproduction technique would be with two female rhinos left, but good luck. If only we would have gone a bit more often to the zoo to see the other rhinos, maybe there would have been enough conservation efforts to make the northern white rhinos rely on something more than the last two lesbian rhinos left. But yeah, that's what the zoo is. You feel bad, you go there, they make you feel good because they say they're doing good things. So this is the price the few animals being on display have to pay. They're living their life on the live TikTok of the zoo. But you know what? Life could be worse. And sometimes the animals fight back. And this is what happened in the case of this alligator news that I'm about to bring to you. Now, there was a flooding in a place in Africa, and a river overflowed, and the businessman went missing. So they started looking for that businessman around and around. And at some point, they saw this crocodile. This is a real piece of news, by the way. They saw this crocodile, and the crocodile looked like a bit too chill. It looked like maybe it has just eaten something. The article literally said that the crocodile was suspiciously in digestion mode. And so they decided to look inside this crocodile. And then they found out it was an alligator. I'm sorry, it was an alligator all along, not a crocodile. I don't know the difference. I think too many teeth on one of the two. And so they took this alligator out of its environment by lifting it with a helicopter. There is a fabulous photo together with this article that shows an alligator tied on a rope flying mid-air on a helicopter with a person as well. So they apparently couldn't just check the alligator where he was. They were like, no, 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 no. We don't do this at your place. You need to come to our place. So they lifted the alligator up. They took it somewhere. They opened him up. And then they found the businessman. Yes, the alligator had literally eaten this businessman. So first of all, very good instinct by the police to look at that suspicious alligator and be like, hey, we're looking for a guy, but the guy is not around. Any chance could you have done anything? The alligator was like, Who, me? No, I'm just chilling here. But this is not why I shared it. Why I shared it was they didn't just find this businessman. They also found 12 shoes. 12. 1, 2, that the whole number. And no, it wasn't 12 shoes, it was 6 pairs of shoes. And now the plot thickens. Was this alligator secretly working at the Foot Locker? Why does that alligator have more pairs of shoes than I have? So the leading theory now is that this crocodile might have discovered a little hack. Because apparently that river that was overflowing that the little bridge where the businessman was taken by the waters, that place overflows often. And more people have been disappearing from that bridge when the water overflows. And so now what they believe is that this alligator had discovered this very, very good life hack, anti-life hack, depending on whose life we're talking about. And it would just chill at the other side of the river. And every now and then, when there was a big flooding, whoever was unlucky enough to get drowned by the waters or be, pushed by the waters, I think that the alligator was waiting somewhere down the line to make sure that they are 2 times unlucky. So this is the bit of news. Businessman goes missing. Alligator found suspect. Alligator lifted up on a helicopter, opened up. Businessman found dead, plus 6 other pairs of shoes. Now the question would be, if this alligator has been doing this for some time, why did they only figure it out now? And I think the answer to that is because it was the first time it ate a rich person. And this is where eat the rich gets another meaning. Now, moving on, a second thing I wanted to comment is that last week has been a release of UFO files by the Trump administration. This is something that they had been talking about that they would do. And the UFO means unidentified flying object, right? It doesn't mean aliens. It means things in the sky that we cannot be sure what they were. And they had said they would do this. It's a very populist thing to do. People really like these things. It's a good distraction and blah, blah, blah. So they actually did release some files. Now, I saw some of the news and they said that the number of files is big. So they will be releasing them little by little. So the people can, digest and that they can, yeah, say what is what. Now, a distraction would be very helpful right now for the US. And I just want to comment on the difference between this UFO files release and the Epstein files release. Because you can see here that for the UFO files, they said, oh, we will release them slowly by slowly so people can, see them not all at once. And then you make out your own conclusions and blah, blah, blah. Now, with the Epstein files, for these millions and millions of documents, instead of releasing them in smaller sequences, or what the actual responsibility of a justice department would be to give some data, give some of the connections, give some. They literally gave the raw file of millions of files released to the wild with nothing else. No way to tie them together, no clustering, no conclusions, no connections between the data, nothing, just raw millions and millions of files thrown out there for something that is extremely easy to connect the dots, link things together, build up who were the main people around this, the different money flows, the communication. Like, when you watch a movie and the police people are putting the little pins and they are drawing these boards on who was the mastermind or who are the accomplices and who helps whom and where the money goes, putting little threads between different photos, that type of thing, like an investigation, like something that you would expect from a department of justice, just to give a little bit of information on what is this that you are releasing? What does it say? What do you see in it? They said, nope, we don't see anything. We don't know anything. Here's 10 million documents because we put a vote that they need to be released. So, yeah. But for the UFO files, no, those will be curated. They will be coming out in small batches because it's in the interest of the general public. Two very different approaches in releasing files, both serving very different purposes. This is my comment, and now I will move on. Speaking of moving on, this podcast is called Yet Another Expat. I'm someone who has left Greece. I'm now living in Germany. There are about 500,000 Greeks in Germany. And the data shows that in the last 10 to 15 years, which have been a downward spiral with no ending for any locals living in Greece, even though it has been a paradise for any non locals having their expat life there and enjoying dealing with only the good parts of Greece. If you have money, everything is nice in Greece. But Greece is trying to talk about the Rebrain. Rebrain is a marketing effort they're trying to do in addressing the dystopian reality of hundreds of thousands of Greeks leaving the country in the past decades, looking for better opportunities abroad. Greece is one of the countries with the highest levels of education people. Most people have bachelors and masters, very heavy academic structures, but then a job market that is only looking for Airbnb tourists, people making souvlaki or serving coffee, and very, very few actual businesses that need a high level of expertise. The public healthcare system is almost impossible to work at, so most of our doctors are considering working abroad. And let's just say it's a very difficult situation to make it work. People are leaving. So the way of Greece to make this stop is not to bring actual incentives, is not to improve the social state, the minimum wage, the way that professionals are not protected in the job market. No, no, no. It's this PR campaign called Rebrain Greece, where they go and talk in different countries of Europe to the Greeks that live there. It sounds like a great PR stand for the Minister of Labor to be traveling for free in all sorts of different countries, making a conference there, inviting all the Greek people, and trying to convince them how nice it is to work in Greece for 800 euros. So why don't they come back and maybe bring their families? Because if you have a child, you get 7 more euros. So in a world where every company is hiring online and you can apply, Greece is wasting money to make these fiestas around European cities, where it invites the Greeks to go and see that conference. And they bring companies from Greece that are hiring for positions, and they try to mix and match so that people find a job in Greece and go back. It sounds so much like a joke, and it is. But the one thing I want to say, I was reading this Greek article in Newsit, news website I'm not too proud of reading. They cover a lot of items though, but the way they write is, let's just say they're one of these news outlets that received millions from the government during COVID for absolutely no reason. There was a list of extra money given to media outlets, and all the ones that are having good relationships with the government were on the top of that list. Anyway, story for another time. The article said 850,000 people left in the past 10 to 15 years. What a number, right? That's almost like a million. That is 10% of the population of Greece. And the ones that left are the ones in the best years, the most productive years. Look at me. Look at this production you're listening to. I'm at my prime here. I am creating, I am working, I am making kids. I'm the raw material Greece would have liked. But 10% of your population, and let's not talk about the birth rates, those are declining everywhere. But the article said specifically that about 450,000 have returned in the past 10 to 15 years. So this is a 60% reversal. Now, the word reversal means that something goes the other way. If I'm driving with my car and I do a reverse, then I go driving the other way. If you have a million people leaving the country and 450 coming back, that's not a reversal. That is less people. That is still about 500,000 leaving the country. So I just want to say the way these PR stunts and stories try to show that they are doing something, while in reality, I don't know how much money they spent to make this Rebrain event. They did one in the UK. They said that 3,000 Greeks joined that conference. And then, what, maybe five got a job offer to go back. I cannot imagine any single person working abroad, a stable job at a respectable company, especially having a family on a mortgage or a house, that would be convinced by the con men that Greek businesses are to take a job and go back. But why am I complaining about this? I'm mostly complaining about the language of the article. It was doing such a strong job to show that this event was something that they dared to use the word reversal in Greek, anastrophe, for the phenomenon, but the brain drain is still there. Even if 1 million are leaving and 500,000 have returned, you still have 500,000 that's leaving. This is how math works, but I don't have high hopes you would know that, whoever wrote it, because if you did, you might have been part of the brain drain yourselves. But okay, I won't nag much more. I'll give you a last fun fact that I really enjoyed. How many times do you buy bananas and then eat all of them? Let's face it, buying bananas is a problem. First of all, they bring fruit flies, which is very annoying. And second of all, there is no way you will eat all of them unless you make a banana bread or a smoothie. Like, you need to bring a contingency plan by the end of their life to make sure that they don't get thrown Apparently, we all live in the Middle Ages and Korea lives in the year 3000 because they came up with a beautiful solution. They're selling banana packs that are called one a day. And this banana pack does the unthinkable. It has bananas of different ripeness. You know, ripe, when a banana is ripe, you can eat it. So if you look at the box, it's 8 bananas in a row. The one on the very left is yellow and ready. The one on the very right is green. And all of them in the middle have the middle tones. So basically, every day you will have one banana that is exactly ready and ripe for you to eat, solving the problem of them all going bad all at once. Why didn't we think about this before? And I don't know how annoying it is to have to package bananas in this way, because I understand they come from different stems. Someone needs to cut them from the stem and categorize them. But hey, isn't this why we have all these robots? It's just different shades of color to identify them and then just arrange a few very green ones and some less green and some yellow and some very yellow. And then you have it. So one a day banana packs are something I didn't know I needed until now. Now, in my last bit, I promised to keep you updated about the city of Berlin and my life. So, for the city of Berlin, the e scooter parking on the sidewalks will be banned. That's great news. What's bad about it is that it will be banned by 2035. Who plans so far ahead in the future? Now, apparently, all these e-scooters that are free floating on the sidewalks are making it very risky for people with disabilities, for elderly people, even for myself with a stroller. So Berlin decided to put mandatory fixed station systems where you need to put all of these instead of the sidewalk. Now, the problem is that the transport authorities need to build these fixed station systems for all the scooters to go, and they need to build 3,000 of them across the capital to replace spontaneous parking. However, they said they can only construct at an average pace of around 300 stations per year. And this is why it would take them until 2035 until these stations are everywhere. Now, they will do it district by district. So, individual districts, once they have these stations, they will switch to hub only operations. So, they will be, you will not be able to finish your ride if you don't park your stupid scooter in one of the designated places. So this is what's happening. I hope it happens fast. I enjoy these scooters every now and then when I use them, but I hate them so much more when they are in the wrong place. And they're so damn heavy and chunky, they're not made to just move them a little bit. If someone places it in the wrong spot, it's very annoying. And yeah, advocates for people with visual impairments, they're very happy with these strict parking regulations, but they also criticize the 10-year transition period, which I can very well agree, because they're arguing that pedestrians are facing unacceptable daily risks right now. At the same time, the commercial rental fleet operators, all of this Lime and Bird and Toy and Voy and whatever it is, they're saying that if you put stations instead of just being able to drop it off anywhere, it will fundamentally threaten their entire business model and customer base in the capital. Basically saying we'll make less money and then we will pay you less taxes. But you know what? So be it. Free market, adjust or die. And now that I said die, in my last piece of news, I told you how I'm vibe coding, I told you about the extensions I'm building, and I told you that every week I'm probably making something new because this is my brain, can't shut it down. And I will give you the update that I have started something that will take more than a week to finish. It is a game. I started making a game, a 2D vector platformer game, the old Super Mario, this type of thing. And it will have 6 levels. I have a working concept, I have a story in mind, and I'm trying to understand how to best build with the help of Cloud Coding and some other software used in 2D making. It will have narration, it will have music, it will have technical challenges, how you hop around. So, if you're eager to give this a try, drop me a message because I can actually send you a working link for your browser that would allow you to see the latest version of the game as I design it. So, the same thing that I see when I test my design, you could also see it and play it in your browser. Now, if you want that chaos in your life, I'm happy to give it to you. Just drop me a comment on Spotify, on Instagram, or anywhere you can find me, and I'll make this happen. And with this, I will end this episode here. I hope you had a good time listening, or at least a better time than the zoo animals that are forced to live a life collecting money for their relatives back home. If you are an alligator and you know when the river overflows, make sure to only eat the rich people. And if you are releasing incriminating files for people having relationships with minors, make sure you release them all at once so no one can figure out anything and get overloaded with information. If you're working abroad and you're thinking of returning to Greece, Greece is here for you. They will bring a local fiesta close to your hometown, paid with a few 100,000 of taxpayer money, trying to talk you into it with no real arguments, but with a lot of beautifully visually crafted marketing assets. If you're riding your scooter anywhere, your days are numbered. And if you are a banana in a Korea 1 a day banana pack, then your days are numbered as well. I was me, you were you. Have a lovely rest of the day, week, life if you never hear another episode. I had a good time. I hope you too. And I'll see you in the next one. Until then, ciao.